Hello everyone. Welcome to pCloudy's webinar on automation at scale. My name is Suyash Dubey, and before we get started, I would like to go over a few housekeeping rules. Your line is currently muted, but you can submit your questions during the webinar to the chat option at the bottom of your screen. We will answer all your questions at the end of this webinar. This webinar is being recorded and we'll send the link of the recorded video so that you can share it with your colleagues. Today's webinar is presented by Nilesh Tarale, VP at pCloudy. He has over 18 years of experience in product development and testing. He has worked primarily in mobile application and device testing domain with companies like Sasken, Motorola, Nokia, and Accenture. Now I would like to pass the mic over to Nilesh.
Thanks, Suresh, for a quick introduction and setting the right context here. I welcome all the participants today for today's webinar. A very warm welcome. Let me quickly go on to the agenda to see what exactly we are going to see today and what will be the key takeaways from today's webinar. We will be checking about the challenges. We will talk about the challenges which typically the enterprises face when they want to achieve the speed, quality, and scale for their automations and for their application testing. We'll also see what exactly we mean for automation at scale, and what are the importance for this automation at scale, what advantages we get it out of it. And lastly, we will see the strategy how we can achieve automation at scale, typically with pCloudy, right? So we are considering a cloud-based solution for this webinar today, and pCloudy will be the solution which we'll be considering it here. Of course, as Suresh mentioned, this will be followed by Q&A, wherein we can answer your questions. If you have any questions, we can answer those questions toward the end. So please feel free to ask any questions if you have, and we'll definitely help you to answer these questions. Let's move on to the next slide to see what we have in store today. All right, so in one of our previous webinar, we have spoken about quality at speed, how we can achieve the quality at speed, and now we are also talking about scale here, right? So we are not only restricting ourselves to talk about speed and quality, we are also bringing in a new angle called scale. Now this makes testing a bit more complex, and enterprises may several challenges. They may face several challenges while doing this. So we will not go through all the challenges which the enterprises may face, but there are some key challenges which we have jotted it down here. Some 4 key challenges which we are going to talk about in the upcoming slides. Okay, so the first and foremost challenge is not having a centralized device management. Okay, we are going to see what centralized device management means, and in the first place, why decentralized device management is needed. Okay, then we will understand why it is required. Now, to deliver the quality applications with speed, the application has to be tested on multiple and variety of devices. Now, this is the ground reality that if you want to really achieve the quality, that too with speed for any of your mobile applications, what you need is you need to test your application on multiple devices and a variety of devices. When I say variety, it means more number of devices with different hardware and software configurations, right? The one which you are seeing on the screen, we have several different form factors and stuff like that. So this is something which is typically needed in order to get the quality at speed. Now, the quality team, if you're testing any application and you are a part of quality team, you cannot guarantee that if an application is tested and it's working well on a given device, it will work 100% on the other devices, right? As we are showing it here, right? We are showing that this particular device is working here. I mean, this application is working on this device, but on these devices, it is not working. So no one can guarantee that unless we test the application on those devices. Now, uh, in both the cases, even if the devices are from the same OEM, let's assume for the time being that this is the device which is working, your application is working on is from Samsung, and these two devices are also from Samsung, or rather, all these devices are Samsung devices. It's not necessary that when you have tested your application on this device, it is going to work on these devices. The reason being, every device, even if it is from the same OEM, may have different screen resolutions, different CPU, memory, OS customizations, and few other specifications could be different, right? If you see the statistics, uh, the older iOS versions are still being widely used in the market, and if you check the uh, OS fragmentation for Android, it is at a different level altogether. We have 29 different API versions, right? And out of this 29 APIs, I believe last 10 APIs are still popular among the users in the market. So in order to make sure that the application works on all the devices, we need to test the application on multiple devices. Now, if you see, manual testing is not going to help you achieve speed, right? And that's why we have to run all our tests on multiple devices using automation, right? So the outcome from this particular slide or from this particular challenge is enterprises need a comprehensive set of devices so the testing team can test on different devices and the device OS combinations, multiple devices and variety of devices. This is very important point which the enterprises should have. Moving to the next slide, where we are still talking about the same device management, but there is another angle to it, which is typically called device sharing. Now, device sharing is also a very important factor when we are talking from the testing perspective. It's a very common scenarios with the enterprises that their teams may be located in multiple different locations, and maybe providing the similar or multiple devices to each individual team is not a cost-effective solution altogether, right? So there must be some common place. There could be a common place. Maybe this is a common place where the device labs is available or the devices are available, and then there has to be a mechanism for these users from different locations to access this particular devices. So we believe centralized device location system can solve the device sharing issue up to certain level, okay. And we are going to see that how we can address or how we can solve this particular challenge using pCloudy. The next part from the same challenge is again about parallel testing. Now, parallel testing is an important technique which involves testing of multiple applications on the or the same application on multiple devices. Okay. Now, quality, scalability, and speed in the application testing cannot be achieved without parallel testing. So parallel testing is very, very, very important. It reduces the time, it reduces the cost, it reduces the efforts and the resources, of course, engaged in doing the testing. But to perform parallel testing, you need a set of popular devices in particular region where the app is to be launched, right? So let's say we are having the device lab in India, and we have couple of devices, maybe 10 or 20 devices, which we are targeting, and those devices are available with us. But the application which you are planning to launch is in Australia. So you should be knowing what devices we have in Australian region. You should be testing your device application on the Australian devices, or the devices which are available in Australia. So this is what makes sense. Only parallel testing will not make sense unless you have dedicated devices for a specific region where you want to run your tests. Second challenge talks about the complexity. Now, what happens typically? A lot of organizations will overcome the device management challenge by opting any cloud-based solution. Okay, it could be AWS, it could be pCloudy, it could be anything else, right? So there are multiple cloud-based solutions available in the market. So to overcome the first challenge, a lot of organizations will opt for cloud-based solution, and they get trapped. They get trapped in another challenge of integration. How most automation engineers face this difficulty in integrating the test automation frameworks like APM, for example, with a cloud-based testing platform. So if you are already using an APM tests, you already have the APM test cases ready with you, which is running on your local machine, right? You have to integrate that to make it run on cloud-based solution. You have to integrate it with every cloud um, provider, or whichever cloud provider you are opting to use for. So it's not easy to integrate APM script with cloud platform, especially with your existing APM scripts that contains thousands of scenarios, right? You cannot have all the scenarios integrated separately, because integration usually requires calling certain APIs provided by the cloud providers. Now, we have seen in the past there are few customers, there are few enterprises who have created two sets, one for the local execution, one for the cloud, but that's not the solution. So this is a big challenge, this is a big impediment when we have to integrate the existing APM uh, with any cloud provider. The next challenge is about uh, it's very common to see, that one device. You would have seen this in your existing test automation practices also, that the application, when you have created an automation, will run on a specific device, but it may not run smoothly on the other device, right? Uh, there could be a failure. I mean, when you are running your test automation on, let's say, this device, it is pretty much going through, all the test cases are passed. On this it is passing, on this it is failing, on the very second step test case it is failing. Now there are various reasons for this failure. One could be the application issue itself, but if not an application issue, right, then there are uh, there are multiple reasons. So one of the most common reason could be uh, the object not found or element not found. It is because different devices generates different page source, right? And we use page source to identify the elements and move further in the APM. So sometimes the element property does not contain something unique, so we go with the absolute XBAR. This is a standard practice which we are seeing in the industry. If you don't get the right unique object names or object elements, we actually go ahead with the absolute XBAR or maybe relative XBAR. Okay, but because of different page source in the APM script, uh, the APM script does not give the expected result. Let's say this particular device is a different device, this is a different device, and these two are having different page source information. So your test, which is running on this device smoothly, may not run here. What should we do? I mean, I mean, you cannot stabilize your scripts in such cases, because you practically cannot run the same on all the possible devices which you have. The next challenge, or the last challenge, which because we have gathered four unique challenges here, is about analyzing the reports and debugging the issues quickly. Now, once your test scripts are stabilized, let's say you have stabilized your scripts, you are running your scripts now. Now you're getting the artifacts, you're getting the reports. And the biggest challenge here is quickly identifying the issues while running the test. Now, this is very important as it will save a whole lot of time and efforts while performing automation testing on multiple devices, right? So you should be getting right reports, and you also should be able to analyze those properly. There's no point if you are getting a whole lot of reports but you are not able to analyze. There is no point if you are having enough time but you are not getting the right information. So right information and analyzing it correctly does matter a lot. That is what the fourth challenge which we have seen it here. Now we are of course going to see how we are addressing these challenges. But before that, let's understand what do we mean by automation at scale. So as we know that testing can be scaled up only with the automation. You know that even if you want to do it manually, you just cannot. Practically, it is not possible to scale your testing manually. You cannot keep recruiting test engineers and test engineers. It means human interference, and there are a lot of chances of human errors there, right? So scaling up is possible only with the automation, right? Now, test automation on few devices is not sufficient because of growing device fragmentations, right? Even if let's say you are moving to the automation because scaling up is provided only with the automation, you are moving to the automation. But if you're running it on a small set of devices, it doesn't make any sense, because if you see the landscape, the way it is growing for both Android and iOS, it's massive, right? So we have to make sure that we address and touch upon that fragmentation landscape. Globally distributed teams need continuous access to these multiple devices just to ensure that the app is compatible with different mobile devices. Right? That's one of the goals. And that's why companies set up a device lab, which is basically with a set of devices to achieve automation at scale by running parallel tests, maybe with 40 devices, 50 devices, or 60 devices. So that's what we are actually talking about when we say automation at scale. So currently, a lot of organizations, they are already doing this. They said that yes, we are also looking at the automation at scale. They have set up a small lab with a set of devices, and they may be running it on 20, 30, or 40 devices at max. And they're saying, okay, we have achieved that. But that's is that enough? We'll come to that part a little later. Let's see what are the importance of automation at scale, what we are going to achieve, what is the obvious advantages we are going to get it here. So accelerated results. Owing to the quick implementation of automated parallel testing, plenty of time is saved even for the intricate and enormous systems. This will allow for the testing to be carried out repeatedly on multiple devices, delivering very fast results each time with very less efforts and time. Right? So you're definitely going to get accelerated results when you are using automation with a scale or at a scale. You're definitely going to improve the efficiency. Now, if you really look at it, testing takes up significant portion of the overall application development lifecycle, if you really look at it. And this goes to show that even with the slightest improvement of the overall efficiency can make an enormous difference to the overall time frame of the project. Now, although the setup time takes longer initially, but automated tests eventually take up significantly less amount of time to execute the tests, and that to a complete set of test cases. And they can be run virtually unattended. So you really do not need any manual intervention to run those test cases, which results in, to be monitored. I mean, you don't have to then monitor what's happening there. You can straight away go and look at the results. So this is definitely going to improve the efficiency in the testing process. Next one is about test coverage. So through the implementation of automated tests at scale, more tests can be executed pertaining to a specific application which you're looking for. And this leads to a higher coverage than that manual testing approach, and which will increase the test coverage, will lead to the more testing more features. If you have several other features, if you are doing manual testing, you could be able to achieve only 4 different features at a time, but with automation you may probably cover even more features there. The next one is about defect detection. Now the documentation of software defect becomes considerably easier for the testing teams, and this will help increase the overall development speed while ensuring correct functionality across areas. The earlier the defect is found or identified, uh, the more cost effective it is to fix the glitch. Now, we talked about this in our past webinar on the shift left webinar, which was the beginning of this series, wherein we have clearly indicated that the cost of the defect fix when we find it in the beginning of the project, middle of the project, end of the project. Anyways, moving to the next point, which is basically about thorough testing. So with this, we also get advantage to do the thorough testing. The testers typically tend to have different testing approaches. Every person is unique. Every test engineer, manual test engineering, when we are talking about, it is done by a test engineer, and every engineer is a separate individual personality which has their own focus of focus areas. They have different approaches, they have different exposures and expertise, right? So with this, the inclusion of the automation of multiple devices, if we have brought in here, there is guaranteed focus on all areas of testing, thereby assuring best possible quality, and also the human errors are removed from this particular testing. The next one is about faster time to market. Now, definitely when we are doing automation at scale, and when you are running the same test, let's say you have 100 test cases, which comprise your system test, for example, or the functional test, for example. So if you want to do it on 20 different devices, and every test cycle takes 1 hour, you could end up spending 20 hours of your testing if you're doing a traditional way of manual testing or traditional automation testing. But when it comes to cloud or automation at scale, when you are running it on multiple devices parallelly, you could still achieve that in just 1 hour. You can still run the same test suite on 10 different devices parallelly and reduce your time to market, right? So this is definitely going to increase the time to market. I mean, it will fasten your time to market. Okay, so let's see the how we can overcome the challenges which we have spoken a little while ago in the earlier slides. We can address all the challenges, whatever challenges we have seen for the automation at scale. Now, to address these challenges, as I mentioned in the beginning, we are considering the cloud solution, and today we will be considering pCloudy as a cloud solution to strategize automation at scale. Okay, so you may hear a lot about pCloudy and how you can achieve it pCloudy. It's very simple if you want to use it this at pCloudy. So let's talk about the very first solution, which is basically we are addressing it to the first challenge which we have spoken, that is basically device management, right? So pCloudy in itself, I mean, you can see here we have written pCloudy and all the 3 things, right? So the pCloudy in itself is a solution to all the 3 needs we discussed in centralized device management. Okay, Uh, Here at pCloudy, we'll be talking more from the public cloud point of view, but when at public cloud, we have a comprehensive list of devices more than 500 plus. Okay, more than 500 plus real physical devices. You will be getting it at pCloudy. So you don't have to really worry. You will get right infrastructure at pCloudy. So no enterprises have to invest more on the devices and manage their own device labs that will be managed by pCloudy at our public cloud. These these devices can be accessed from anywhere, anytime, and can be shared by teams at multiple locations in order to uh, address the second part of the first challenge, which is basically sharing. So irrespective whether the test engineers or the testing teams are located, whether in Europe, US, Asia, wherever, okay, they can actually access this remotely and perform their testing. They can also run the CI/CD pipelines on these particular devices. And last, with the help of pCloudy, we can also achieve parallel testing. Right? You don't have to do much. You don't have to write the script. You don't have to create the script to make it run on multiple devices. That will be taken care by us. And we have, pCloudy has a variety of devices. As I mentioned, we have 500 plus devices, and these devices are the combination of both Android and iOS with different hardware and software configurations. We have the OS version support for iOS starting from 8.1 till 13.4, which is the latest one in the market. And for Android, we have 4.1 OS version support till 10.0. So if you want to see the variety of devices, pCloud is the solution where you can get these uh, devices. You can access it remotely, so device sharing is not a problem at all, and you can also run the test parallelly on uh, these devices. Uh, I just wanted to run a quick video, a very small video, just to give you a feel how the test can be executed parallelly on multiple devices. Now, of course, this video is not shot in the data center, which is not allowed. So we have a dedicated setup for our internal consumption. We have done some test there, and we have recorded this video just to give you a feel. If I have written a small test case and I want to run the same test case on multiple devices parallelly, how does it look? Okay, so let's have a look at this video. It's a very small video, but you can get a feel. So these many devices are available, and this particular thing, this is the source code where we have basically written a small test, and now I am running the test. So here we can go and select multiple devices, which we have selected, and here you can see the device rack where you can see the devices, and see the same application is being tested across all the possible devices with different hardware, software configurations. And this is happening pretty much in real time and in parallel. This way, you can achieve the parallel testing automation at pCloudy if you are using pCloudy. Okay, coming to the second part of this, which is basically the uh, integration, right? So before integration, let's see how a typical automation framework or how a typical automation code looks like. If we have a APM script, for example, which is for the sake of demonstration here, we have used the Java code. But typically, if you have a Java code, how does it look? Okay, let's see. So you can see there is a a method which is written called prepare test, which is nothing but an initialization method where we have set certain capabilities. I think we can, yeah. So I've further uh, zoomed in a little bit, so you can see now this is the prepare test wherein we are initializing the driver and capabilities. So if you can notice it here, these are certain capabilities which talks about device name, new command timeout, launch timeout, platform name, app package, app activity, automation name, right? All these capabilities are the standard capabilities required by the APM. Okay, and I'm just giving an example that if you have already created certain automation test cases, you must be having known about this. You must be having a familiarity with this. You have already used this particular capabilities in your code, and then you might be initializing a driver which is on maybe on your local system. If you are having a local system on APM server running on local system, you might be having a local host uh, URL here. Right? That's what typically a typical APM script will look like. Now, if you want to integrate this particular script with pCloudy, right? How does it look? What are all things you typically needed? Because the moment we talk about integration, you know, it's a very big word for the engineers to look at it. The moment we talk about integration, because there are a lot of APIs which needs to be involved from the different uh, every cloud provider will have different APIs and also, right? So we'll have to bring in a lot of APIs. We will have to make a lot of changes in our existing code so that we can integrate our code to make it run on other platforms, right? That's what the typical idea we engineers or the uh, developers will get when they learn about the integration. But if you really look at it, uh, the one which I'm going to showcase it now, it's so simple at pCloud that anyone can integrate their existing code with pCloud in no time. Just by making some small changes, or rather by adding certain capabilities in your existing code, you can actually integrate your existing code with pCloud. And when I say it is very simple, I mean it. I'm going to showcase you what you have to do it. If you see here, now this approach which I'm going to showcase you here, or which you are seeing on the screen, is basically capability based approach. So as we have seen in the last slide, you are already using certain capabilities which is common or which is mandatory for APM. Now on top of that, you have to add 7 lines of code, which goes like this. Basically, the capabilities for pCloudy. So that's why you have to set capability, pCloudy username and API key. Now this is basically the username with which you have registered with pCloudy, and your API access key. This is to authenticate the user, just to make sure that the user is authenticate user on pCloud. The second one is talking about application name, which application you want to test. There could be several applications which you want to test it. So whichever application for which you have written the code and you want to run, you have to specify that particular application name here, and pCloud will pick up that application from the cloud side. Next is pCloudy duration in minutes. Now you must be wondering why it is needed. It is needed because uh, pCloudy will not know for how long you are going to use that particular device, or for how long you will need this particular device for your test automation, right? Since it's a public cloud, you'll have to mention for how long you want it. So let's say your test execution can go for maybe half an hour, you know that, right? So which is like 30 minutes. You can actually mention 40 or 50 or even 60 minutes for that matter. It does not matter a lot, because there could be some delay because of the network or something. So you can always put some buffer if you want, but you have to provide the duration in minutes here. All right, now you have given pretty much all the capabilities which is typically needed. Now it's time for you to book a device, whatever device on which you want to run your test. So we have used here something called device full name, and we have provided the full name of that particular device, like Samsung Galaxy A9 Android 8.0.0. It means it is a device from Samsung which has model name as A9 and version as 8.0.0. All right, and moving to the next part, these are the capabilities which we have already seen. Yeah, these are the capabilities which we have used as a mandatory capabilities from APM. So this will remain as is. And after that, you can see there is a code to initialize a driver. Now, in the previous slide, we have seen the driver code was for your local instance, but Here it will be for pCloudy. Since you want to run your test on pCloudy and our APM server is running on pCloudy, you will have to provide this URL, which basically talks about device.pcloudy.com/apmcloud/wd/hub. Next portion will remain same as is as you have in your existing code, like your test cases. Now here for the sample we have written there are 4 different steps in the test where we are looking for a specific element on the application and clicking on those and moving further. All right, so this is with this change, I mean, not the test and the mandatory capabilities, but the first 7 capabilities which I have shown, those capabilities and initializing a driver part is enough for you to integrate your existing code with pCloudy and make it run on pCloudy. Sorry for this. Okay, now in this slide, we have shown one URL, which is a GitHub location where all our sample projects are kept. So in case you want to have a look at the sample projects, please visit this GitHub location and you should see all the sample projects which I was talking about or which you have seen on the previous screen. Okay, now from the same sample project, I also wanted to show you a few more things. Okay, now there are multiple ways to select the device. Now you have integrated the code with pCloudy, but you would have noticed that there was a specific device name which we have set, right? Now consider a scenario where you want to actually run the test on Samsung device. You are not interested to run it on Samsung S20, S10, S9, S5, J8. No, you are not looking for a specific uh, device. You're looking for a specific OEM. Okay, you have um, issues found on Samsung devices, be it any version of the device or any model of device, does not matter, but Samsung devices are having some issues for your application, so you want to run your test only for the Samsung devices. So in such case you can use this capability, which basically says by manufacturer. So you'll have to say pCloudy underscore device manufacturer and provide the OEM name, be it Samsung, LG, Nokia, whatever you want to give it. Okay, that's one way of choosing the device from a given OEM. So what it will do, it will just go, the platform will go to the backend and will check what all devices from Samsung manufacturer are available at this moment for whatever duration you are looking for, and it will book those devices and will perform your test on those devices. Okay. Now there could be a possibility that you want to run your automation on Samsung devices, but on a specific OS version of the device. There could be, like at pCloudy, as I mentioned, we have 4.1, 7.1, 6.1, 9.1, 10.1, all those versions are there. You want to run your test only on 8.0.0 because you are seeing certain issues on that. If that's the need, then you can actually use these two capabilities together, which is device manufacturer, which is like Samsung, and device capability as device version, which is 8.0.0. So now what it will do, it will go and look for the devices which has this combination. There could be a chance that we have 10 Samsung devices available at this moment, and all the 10 devices are having 8.0.0, for example, hypothetical case. So which device it will pick up? It will randomly pick up any device uh, uh, from the pool of available devices from Samsung 8.0.0. Okay. You can also use only device version capabilities. So let's say you are least bothered whether it is Samsung or Nokia or LG for that matter. I just want to run my test on any 8.0.0 device for Android, be it LG, be it Oppo, I don't care, because my issue I'm finding it on 8.0.0. So I can go and select capability.set capability pCloudy device version as 8.0.0. So this will help you to pick up a device from the available pool of devices at pCloudy which has version 8.0.0. Okay, now the next and most important here is device full name. Okay, so this device full name is very important because sometimes we have to run the test on a specific list of devices. Maybe we are targeting those devices for a given market. Maybe that is a need from the client. Maybe we are seeing certain issues on those devices. So you have to have the fixed model and uh, absolute device for this, right? So you can use this particular capability which says uh, pCloudy underscore device full name. And you have to provide the exact name of the device, which goes like this: the OEM name, the model name, the platform, and the version. So you can get this device names from pCloudy portal. We have capability section where you can get all the detailed information. You cannot create your own name of your choice. You'll have to get it from the pCloudy, whatever names we have created for this. Okay, for private clouds, not on the public cloud, but this particular capability is available on a private cloud. So we have a mechanism to pre-book the device for your automation testing if it's private cloud, and you can pre-book the device. And if you want to use that device, and you have mentioned that particular device name by either of the capabilities which I have spoken about, you can use pCloudy pre-book as true, so it will go and pick up the device from the bookings which you have done. Okay, now along with all the things which we have seen, there are few useful APIs which does not require efforts like calling APIs, because we have integrated certain things with the APM execute script method. Okay, let's say you want to send some ADB command to the device. Now, typically in the APM, when you want to send it, you'll have to have a big step to add that particular thing. Here, what you can do is you can just call our execute script command and use this pCloudy execute ADB command and provide the ADB command. This will go to the device. So we will do the backend part, what needs to be sent to the device, in what order and stuff like that. So those APIs, we will be using it from the backend. Same way you can use it for network simulation, set locations, and so on. So you can do pretty much things which you want to do it on this particular devices. Okay. Coming to the stabilization part. So as we have noticed earlier that, if you run your test on one particular device, it's running for you and it may not run on the other devices, maybe because the page source is different, right? Now, how do you handle this situation? If you have the devices in hand, what you will do, you will probably connect that device to your machine and then connect to the APM desktop and look for the object source for that particular uh, application or the object elements, and then you may try to create some customized XPath. So same thing you can do it with pCloudy. You can connect to APM Desktop. Here we have shown a screenshot for the APM Desktop. I have connected to pCloudy device, and then I've taken a snapshot and I started seeing on the entire application source, the element attributes, and I can use this. So if uh, on this particular device your application is not working correctly, the automation test is not working correctly rather, then you can actually look for some unique things and create your customized XPath which will work on this device as well as the other device. So this is definitely going to help you in stabilizing your automation scripts, because you are having exposure to a lot of devices here. This is a snapshot which talks about how you can connect to the APM desktop if you are using APM desktop for connecting to the device and finding the elements. Now this will be always a little uh, tricky in the sense it is going to take a little time, because you have to go and select the operator, the vendor, maybe pCloud in this case. You might be using AWS or something else. So you'll have to go and choose that particular thing, provide the host name, you have to provide your username, password key, you have to choose the capabilities, but this is typically needed. We can't help, because that's how the guidelines are. So you'll have to provide all these things, and then only you can connect to the device, and then you can start using that particular device to see the object elements which we have seen in the previous slide. In order to save all that efforts to connect to a device through APM Studio, what we have done is at pCloudy, we have made the life very simple. We have actually created a project, a feature called Object Spine. So you can install your application on any device manually quickly, go to the Object Spine, and then there will be a step one which says start your Object Spine. When you click on start, if you can see this particular screen, there are so many things which are highlighted with blue color or green color, right? So these are the objects which our objects by found on the device screen or on the application, and then it started highlighting those. Right now, I as a user can go and select on any. Let's say I want to select this particular thing, so I just clicked on this text view. The moment I clicked on this, the corresponding object attributes for this particular object, all the attributes started appearing it here. This is basically the widget which has a text view, and then these are the attributes to this. So I can go and select whatever I want. Let's say I want to select the XPath, so I just select the XPath. Then you can take an action, what you want to do. You want to click, you want to send key, you want to clear, whatever you want to do, you just do that, and accordingly the code will be generated. So you can use this code as is in your script, or you can also create a custom path looking at all the different attributes and use it in your code. So this is going to save a whole lot of time because this is very way faster than APM Desktop if you really look at it. Okay, quickly looking at the last challenge which we were talking about is analyzing the reports and debugging informations. How can you debug it quickly? Now this is very important because once you have all the setup ready and you're running your test for so long, if you're getting your reports, you should be getting a meaningful report. You should be getting a good report, right? So this is what the device report we are providing on top of what reports you get locally or for your APM things, where you can see the different performance metrics in terms of how the battery consumption was happened, how the memory information was happened, how much memory is consumed by your application, how much CPU is consumed, how much frame rendering time, what is the network chart, how much data is uploaded, downloaded. All these performance metrics you are going to get it along with whatever test results you get in your local uh, machines or for your existing things. In order to that, we will also provide you the screenshots, whatever screenshots your application consumes. We will show you the entire logs, we will show you the video, so you're not going to miss anything. Believe me, when you are actually looking at the results and you see that there are some failures on one or two devices in a batch of 10 or 15 devices, you always have your console logs, you always have your own logs there to look into that, but that is not sufficient at times. Okay, so you can come here you can also see the video. Now when I talk about this video, this is basically the session video. So even if your test executes for maybe 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, we will provide you the whole session video, so you can go to the video to understand how my test execution has happened, where there was some unwanted pop-up came in which I have never anticipated, and then my application behaved differently. Something like that happens. You can actually go and figure it out from this video. So this way, you can pretty much use this reports to analyze it much deeper and get maximum benefit out of it. We also have a way to share this report. Now, as I mentioned, like if your test execution has happened for maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, the size of the video will be very high. You cannot just attach that to the emails or something like that, right? And there could be several test stakeholders in your company who might not be using pCloudy, right? And you have to share the reports with them. So we have a very simple shareable reports section here. You just need to click on this. We will generate a link which you can share it with your any stakeholder, even if they are not part of pCloudy, they don't have login credentials, they will still be able to see the reports which a user, a registered user, is able to see it. Yeah. So with this, I would like to conclude. We have seen all the 4 different challenges which we have seen in the industry for automation at scale. We have seen how we can address those and the solutions for that using pCloudy. So I would like to now go ahead and open the session for Q&A. So if you have any questions, any one of you have any questions, please feel free to ask the questions, and we will will help you to answer those questions. Okay, so I think there are some questions started pouring in. Let me ask this. Okay, so there is a question from Shoaib. How many test cases can I execute in a single automation test? So test cases, there is no limit from our end, right? It depends on how many test cases you can put it in your test suite, because any test cycle which you have created, depending upon what application you have. So pCloudy as such do not have any restrictions on number of test cases can be executed in a given test automation cycle. I hope I have answered your question, Shuaib. Okay. Okay. So there is a question from Sandeep. He's asking, it is mandated for cloud devices to have APK pre-installed, or it can take the APK from our local path and install in several devices. The local path will be defined in desired capabilities. Okay, Sandeep, to answer your question, typically we need the application to be uploaded to our cloud location. We have our own cloud location, which we provide to every individual user. So if you keep the file there, your APK is there, it will be easy for us to install it from there and use it. You can also have pre-installed one in case the application is already pre-installed on the device. You can still run your test there. But to answer your question, where we can take it from your local path, that is a little tricky. We need the application to be available on the cloud drive. In case you are using Jenkins, I think in such cases it may happen, because Jenkins has a capability to push that to different locations, or in the Jenkins job we can pull it from there, not from the general testing. But if it's Jenkins, then I think we can pull the file from the location which you have mentioned. I hope I have answered your question. Yeah. Okay, a follow-up question from Sandeep again. He has, my APK has some audio previews, how to get it tested with pCloudy cloud devices. If you are talking from the automation perspective, right? Uh, if you have written a test case, right? So you cannot, certainly when your test automation is running on any device which is running remotely, you cannot hear that audio, right? So you might have to add certain stubs, or you might have to read certain other values to see if this is changing or not, and depending on that you might be taking a call whether the test case is pass or fail. So if that's what you are doing it currently, you can still execute your test on pCloudy and get the results. But if you want to hear out that particular sound or see the audio previews, right, or hear the audio previews, that is not possible in case of automation, because even when you are running the automation on your local system, uh, not always that you will be sitting there and watching what's happening on the device, because then in that case you are defeating the whole purpose of automation, right? This is applicable more to the manual testing. So for manual testing, we do have this feature wherein you can actually hear the audio on your local machine coming from our devices. Of course, we have restricted this feature to our private cloud customers, but this feature as such we have on pCloud. I hope I answered your question. And there is one more question with from Sandeep itself. I think it's pretty much in the similar lines that he has certain tests wherein he is looking for a call to terminate a call or make a call, whether it is supported at pCloudy. So yes, it is supported. All our devices are real physical devices, and we do have some devices equipped with the real operator SIM. So in case you want to, initiate a call or terminate a call, you can pretty much do that from pCloudy. Okay, there is one more question from Akash. Can I integrate my custom framework with pCloudy? I'm not using APM at this moment. To answer your question, Akash, yes. On our public cloud, it will be a little difficult. I mean, to integrate the custom frameworks, because those custom frameworks will not be used by the rest of the other customers, right? But we can still provide you the support for your custom frameworks. We can integrate that on our private cloud offerings or on-premise cloud solution, right? Not for the public cloud, because it will not make sense. So any open source framework which we are not supporting, which you are using, we can provide that support on public cloud. But for any custom frameworks, we will have to we prefer to do it on private clouds. Hope I have answered your question, Akash. Okay. Yeah, so there is a question from Jagan Mohan. Can I run my test using Jenkins? Yes, pretty much you can run it from Jenkins. This is what I have told some time back to, I believe, Sandeep. So you can pretty much run your automations from Jenkins if you are already having the Jenkins in place. Okay, so there is one more follow-up question from Jagan Mohan. Can I get any guarantee that the required devices will be always available for me if I want to run the parallel testing using Jenkins? Okay, I think in the interest of time, I will take this is the last question because we don't have much time. But there are a few more questions pouring in, so I will try to answer those questions one-on-one after this webinar. Okay, let me answer this question first to Jagan. Jagan, see, there is no guarantee. Since it's a public cloud, we cannot guarantee that you will get those devices which you are looking for, because we don't have any control on the usage of devices. Primarily being it's a public cloud. We have global presence, we have global customers, so any customer can come and access any device at a time. So if you are triggering a test through Jenkins on specific devices, if those devices are used by someone else, you may not get that devices. Your test cases may fail. Your test cases will not fail. The Jenkins job will say that the device is not available. Okay. However, we have a mechanism, as I was showing in the script, that instead of a specific device, you can choose for OEM names or version names. In such cases, the possibility of securing a device is more, because if let's say for Samsung Galaxy S10, we might be having only 1 or 2 models, but as such, if you use Samsung, we have 50 plus devices. So any device which is available can be picked up, right? So this way we can guarantee that you will definitely get a device, but if you are looking for a very specific device, it is really difficult to provide a specific device. Now, we can still go ahead and tell you that you can go and guaranteed get a device, provided you are opting for a private cloud. When it's a private dedicated cloud for yourself, you will always get the desired devices. So any organization who is looking for Jenkins thing, right? They want to run specific test cases only to Jenkins nightly build or something. They will certainly have a small number of devices, maybe 10 to 30 devices. So such organizations usually opt for the private cloud. I hope I have answered your question, Jagan. All right, so we have just finished our time. There are a few more questions. I'll definitely help you guys with the answer one-on-one. Thank you so much for your participation and your time. I would like to thank all for your patience, and I'll definitely get back to you on the questions which you have asked. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.